All right, it is 6 o'clock on April 27th, 2021. Welcome everybody to our regularly scheduled City of Aztec City Commission meeting. This evening, we're going to go ahead and call the meeting to order. As is customary, Commissioner Randall is going to lead us in the invocation, and Mayor Pro Tem tonight is going to lead us in the pledges.
Pray with me, please. Dear God, thank you for this wonderful day you've given us, Lord. As always, thank you so much for the blessings we enjoy in our fine city. Pray that you continue to look over our citizens, our students, our employees, be with our police department as they go about their business and protecting and serving us, Lord. Lord, thanks so much for the little bit of moisture we've been getting here recently, and please keep it coming. As you know, we need it greatly. Just continue to bless us and be with us. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I salute the flag of the state of New Mexico and see a symbol of perfect friendship among united cultures.
Sherilyn, would you please call the roll?
Mayor Stover.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Frye.
Here.
Commissioner Randall.
Here.
Commissioner Lewis.
Here.
Commissioner Padilla.
Here.
All are present.
Thank you. Next is approval of agenda items. If there are any items on this evening's agenda that need to be removed by any commissioners, now is the time to do so. Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to accept tonight's agenda as given.
Mayor, I move to approve this evening's agenda as given.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Next is consent agenda. Items placed on the consent agenda will be voted on with one motion. If any item proposed does not meet the approval of all commissioners, a commissioner may request that the item be heard under items from consent agenda. Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to accept tonight's consent agenda as given.
Mayor, I move to approve this evening's consent agenda as given.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Okay. We are down to item 7, citizens input. And this week we do have a letter from a Aztec City resident that I'm going to read, so bear with me. This letter is from Laura McClenny of Aztec, New Mexico. I'm writing to express my thanks for the city personnel who care for our community safety and care for our open spaces before expressing my concerns. Like many people, I've been out walking more this last year and visiting our parks. My comments related to my concerns are meant to be taken in the context of making our already great town even better. One of my favorite walks involves crossing Main Street at Zia. This crossing is dangerous for healthy adults, and I can't help but be concerned about our children who want to cross or those who need more time. You already know my comment, speeding cars. It is hard to tell what drivers are going to do, and speed is a factor all the time, every day. I've witnessed it. 2 other small towns in the Four Corners have lost children to speeding cars on their main streets. Can we do some proactive measures before it is a drastic situation? Excuse me. So, this route across Zia at Main is my route to Hartman Park. I'm attaching a photo of the sign by the river on the southeast side of the park. And as a side note from me, I do not have that photo in front of me right now, but it is online in the agenda packet. Back to the letter. Again, I believe that the city probably has this upgrade on the list for park improvements. My comments have more to do with the content of the sign. Do we really want to tell people what to do in our park? And do we want to have a longer list of you cannot do compared to what we can do? Gosh, there are hundreds of positive things to do at the park that are not on the list. Commands like this are not a kind way to welcome people to the park. I suggest we welcome people and use welcome in English, Spanish, Navajo, and Ute, and again say thank you in all languages at the end of the sign. We can comment that, quote, the following could result in a citation or arrest, end quote. The current list of, quote, you cannot do, end quote, is laughable. Can we really ask kids to not climb trees, throw rocks? Is someone going to enforce this? At the very least, let's not say you cannot do and list 14 things. I've owned property in Aztec for over 20 years, and I like our small town feel and even our quirky signs. Lists of commands is not who we are, and parks are meant to be creative, peaceful, fun places. We have amazing artists in town that I'm sure could create a beautiful sign and message that more closely reflects who we are. Our city police understand the potential fixes for pedestrian dangers related to crossing Main. It's not my place to say, and I hope this can start the conversation. Thank you, Laura McClenny. All right. And thank you. And that is all we have from citizens' input this week. Next is item 8 for business items. Item A, City Manager Employment Agreement. Mr. Saavedra.
Mr. Mayor, City Commission, this item comes before you. As you know, we've had numerous discussions in closed session, hired the services of CPS to conduct a nationwide search for the next city manager, and I believe we are at the point right now where, as of last week, even though it was a long meeting, crafted an agreement, then it comes before you for final approval. Wallace, do you know if Mr. Eckert is currently on the phone? Today, I have not heard from Mr. Eckert. Any questions, comments, concerns, or any rebuttal to this contract? Okay.
Okay.
And one correction, in the staff summary, it says November of 2021. It should be November of 2020. Sorry about that.
Okay. Okay, let's open this business item A up for discussion. Any questions for Mr. Saavedra, or does anybody have any questions for Mr. Saavedra? We'll start with that. I don't think, just kind of surveying quickly, nobody else has any questions directly for Mr. Saavedra, but we reserve the right to come back to that if we need to. So with that said, let's have any discussion that we deem necessary regarding this employment agreement. Like city manager said, we went through quite a bit of, discussion about verbiage and different sections of the contract. We kind of backed up and started over a couple of times just to make sure we're all on the same page as far as, how happy we were with the format of the contract and so on. And we ended up using kind of a template off of a previous city manager that we thought was a little better suited to our needs. And it kind of passed scrutiny a couple of different times, so that's kind of where we ended up going. And we just tailored it to Mr. Eckert's agreement. And I'm pretty, I'm as satisfied as I think I can be with how it looks at the moment.
I think we discussed it at length the other day.
I didn't find anything lacking, and it seemed to correct the issues that we had
Right.
the last time we were together.
Commissioner Padilla, any input or anything further?
No, the only thing that I had asked for is in that is when we did, evaluations, he had asked that we do one in 6 months.
Right.
And I think it was brought up that we can still do that.
Right, of course, yeah. We can, as
And I'm fine with everything else.
personnel committee, we can say,
Yeah.
bring him in and have a 6-month evaluation,
Yeah, I'm good
even
with
if it's
that.
not specifically in the contract, and he agrees with it as well.
Yeah.
Commissioner Randall, any additions or questions?
No, Mayor, I mean, just like you said, it's important just for the record to say that, this is something we've discussed at length in closed session, and we have gone through it several times. We're not taking it lightly. Honestly, my main concern is Section 9 and Section 10, and it's a formatting issue. Those sections are centered in the document versus left aligned, and it's just standing out and bugging me for some reason, but I'm sure Tyson can fix that formatting on the final copy, or it's just little things like that just bug me because it's a professional document, and then those two just kind of stand out separate because they're centered, but other
Sure,
than
fair
that,
enough.
that's mine.
No, I think, yeah, if someone could note that, and we can, for the final presentation of the contract, I think, those details matter. So thank you for bringing that up. Commissioner Lewis?
I had no other nothing to add. I reviewed it over the weekend, and
All right.
I think Tyson did a very good job on doing what we asked.
And I appreciate the fact that, I mean, I think he had a revised copy the very next morning after we had sat here for quite some time,
Nice.
giving him additional direction and changes that we wanted to make. So I appreciate that he was quick to make those fixes so we could get it ready for where we are right now. So Mayor Pro Tem, any additions or questions?
No.
Okay. All right. Unless anybody has anything else, Ms. Saavedra, anything?
Nothing, sir.
All right, I'll go ahead and close discussion and entertain a motion for business item A.
Mayor, I move to approve employment agreement between the City of Aztec and Paul Eckert.
Agreed.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Sherilyn, would you please call the roll?
Mayor Snover,
Aye?
Mayor Pro Tem Fry,
Aye.
Commissioner Padilla,
Aye.
Commissioner Lewis,
Aye.
Commissioner Randall.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0.
All right, thank you. We are going to skip to item 10 because there's no land use tonight. Commissioner, City Manager, and Department reports. I'm going to go ahead and give Mr. Gobble an opportunity. Did he get phoned in? Does anybody? I can't
I've
see.
been, Mr. Mayor.
All right. Thanks for joining us, Mr. Gobble. Do you have a report for anything this evening?
I have no report, but I'll make those revisions that Commissioner Randall pointed out. I'll get it over to Mr. Saavedra and Mr. George immediately.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thanks for your work on that. Let's see, Mr. Saavedra.
All right, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I had two things. One of them is month of May. It's going to be a busy month for us with respect to budget, and we wanted to talk about a workshop. Typically, we've had that in the past. For state statute, it's not necessary, but it may be a good idea to see where we're at. All the departments have submitted their budget for this year, and we're finalizing everything. Going forward, looking at the calendar, talking to Chris, we had kind of agreed on maybe possibly May 18th. If it's a Tuesday, it's an off week of a commission. Does that seem appropriate with everybody? If not, we can adjust accordingly. But we do have to get this budget approved, hopefully by the 25th of May, so that we can submit it by the 31st to DFA.
I'm fine with the 18th.
So the expectation to have the workshop and then approval on the 25th, barring any major huge hiccups or issues,
Yes, sir.
and then submission by the 31st.
And part of the logic is we'll have our finance director coming in on May 3rd. Hopefully they'll give him a good 2 weeks to get, so he can fill it out. And then hopefully by the 18th, be comfortable enough. We won't expect him to present or anything like that, but at least walk him through the process. If there's questions, concerns, edits that need to be made, it will be a short window because we do have to get that, everything finalized by that Thursday. But hopefully, everything will be good to go so that we can present it, have it on the agenda for the 25th, and then if approved, then we can submit it accordingly to DFA. If there's an alternative date, we're open for that, but that was just a suggestion at this point.
I can't unequivocally say, but I can't think of anything, I'm thinking of school and things like that is jumping out at me on a Tuesday sort of thing. So it seems okay for me, but I'm willing to defer to the others based on their schedules and work schedules and whatnot. So,
The 18th is fine by me.
I'm okay.
Same here.
and and if we get back and we kind of back up and we look at our calendars and there's something we overlooked, we can try and get back to staff as quickly as possible and just adjust a little bit. And I'm sure within a day or so we can get that sorted.
Okay.
So,
Okay, and the last thing is, our comprehensive plan is essentially finalized. We had many revisions, a few meetings this past year. Talking to our consultant, they were looking at sometime mid-May to have a public meeting to discuss and present the comprehensive plan. Essentially, it's a blueprint for the city for the next 15, 20 years. Considering that we're going to have hopefully a finance director May 3rd, a senior director on May 3rd, and a new city manager on May 10th, thought maybe it would be appropriate to have that meeting on June 3rd. I was hoping that we could have that meeting outside, considering our current circumstances right now. I'd really hope that we can get that sign lit at some point. That would be in the backdrop. We know this city has been through hell for the last couple of years in terms of not just the economy, school shooting, but COVID and the restrictions and so forth. And my hope is with that backdrop and this new comprehensive plan update, that there would be better days ahead. So I just wanted to let everybody know that that would be a Thursday, first part of June. Really hoping to be outside. Again, we'll have to see what COVID is like and so forth, but that's the initial plan right now.
I think that sounds like a good plan to me. And yeah, I think I'm at least as excited as any other person in this city to see that sign lit up again. I've seen it lit up maybe once in my life. And, so I'm excited about, it's new to me, and I know for some of the folks that have been here for a lot longer, it's not, but I'm sure they're excited to see it kind of lit back up again too. And I think that would be an appropriate and exciting, backdrop for unveiling of really what boils down to the plan for the future for our city. So I think that's a fine idea, and I hope we can get it to work out. So, but again, if any of us have any conflicts or anything, I'm sure we can adjust a little bit on either side to make it work. So, yeah, that sounds great. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's all? That's okay. All right. Commissioner Padilla?
I just have a couple things. I did attend COG's meeting, went really, really well, and they are really up on doing our recreation. I mean, they are pumped on recreation, and I was enthused to hear that. I listened to EDAB. EDAB was a good meeting, and I got a call today, and I don't know if you guys are aware of it, but there is and I call it the moving wall, the Vietnam moving wall, which is a replica of the wall. They're calling it something different. It's coming through Aztec, going to be put in Farmington, and it's on the same weekend as September 11th. They're asking, and I have a contact number for the chief or the captain, that they're going to want to escort through Aztec, because it's being escorted from Colorado through Aztec, and they're trying to make a big loop going around to end up in Farmington at San Juan College. And if you haven't been to it, fortunately, 20-some years ago, I was fortunate enough to bring that wall in, set it up, MC the whole ceremonies and stuff like that. It's a huge tribute to 58,000 young people that died overseas. So if the chief, if he's on tonight, or the captain would call me, I'll give him a contact name and a phone number to get a hold of these people to do the escort through Aztec, because I think that's pretty honorable. And that's all I have.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Randall?
Same thing. I believe we're going to try to do lodger's tax on the 17th of May. We'll get with Sherilyn on finalizing that. Hopefully we can get enough people to show up and have an actual meeting. And library board, I'll get with Angela and see when our next get-together is. I think everyone's hopeful there for a while when things were getting better, and now it seems like it's getting worse. I don't know if we'll stay to web meetings and emails for now. But the one report I did have was, because I've been seeing it right outside of work, is the repaving of the asphalt on the highway. And I got to say, I mean, those guys are the most efficient crew that I've seen in a long time. Hopefully Main Street goes the same, but I mean...
They did it in less than a week, I think, didn't they?
Well, and this is crazy seeing them up close, because, I mean, every single person, has their job and duty. I mean, it's, they're milling it up, and then right behind them they're paving it, and then, I mean, the street sweeper, everything, and then something broke down on a piece of equipment, and it didn't take less than a minute, and they had like 3 trucks on it, and they were getting it back up. It was just bizarre, so I just wanted to kind of give them props and thank the state for getting that done, because it looks great, it drives great, and I'm just really hoping, I'm not sure if anyone knows what the schedule is for when they start. I know they're going to do nights for downtown, but I'm not sure when it starts, and hopefully they're kind of giving, if we can get a date and let business owners notice so they can have a heads up on when to get their vehicles off the street if they're parked on the side of Main Street. But
Yeah,
hopefully,
Commissioner, we'll get all that information relayed and posted so everybody is aware, and hopefully mitigate some of the inconvenience with the paving.
but no, I'm excited for it. I mean, I just wanted to kind of give them a shot. I think, is it Mountain States Construction in MSCI or something? But I don't know. I just very impressed with them and thankful that it's done. I think it dresses up the town big time, and driving back to Bloomfield, I don't really care so much about driving that way, but driving this way into Aztec, it looks great, so.
Yeah.
And that's all I have.
Yeah, it looks good. Thank you. Commissioner Lewis.
A couple of quick things. First, I was able to attend the concert Sunday, the painted piano concert at Slopes on Main. It was a lot of fun, and it was a nice turnout. People I hadn't seen in a long time were there, including Carla Dial, whom I hadn't seen in ages. But it was really great. Everyone did a wonderful job, and I think our Mayor Pro Tem has done an outstanding job putting that all together, and we should thank her profusely for that. And I think it was
Well, and
great.
Hoyle actually put that together, thank Hoyle, and they both donated their time to promote Aztec pianos and to promote private donations, you know,
And
so.
yeah, but you came up with the idea
No,
of the
Thank
whole
you.
Slopes on Main.
Thank you.
Or
I just
the whole
appreciate
painted
that
piano.
they donated their time.
On a not quite so happy note, I'm going to ask people to please keep in mind that we are very, very dry, even with a little bit of moisture we've had. And we have 4 wildfires burning in New Mexico right now, and it's not even fire season. So let's all be very extra cautious and and keep an eye on everybody else too, in case, who knows, something could get away from somebody. Somebody shouldn't be burning, but we all keep an eye on each other. I think it'll help keep us from running into the same problem. So, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem.
I attended the MPO policy meeting, and of course, they always review the plans for roads, road projects, bridges, and so forth, so that's always quite informative. It's the world's most efficient meeting, 30 minutes. They take care of business. Went to the Northwest New Mexico seniors, and they continue with their food programs, and some are still having vaccination clinic. The social part is not open, so they continue to just have drive-through food and home deliveries. The chamber meetings I always attend, and there's a good group of volunteers that are trying to get that chamber built up and get more members, business members. They had a ribbon cutting this week. There's plans for events, and of course, we were in Turquoise when plans started as far as pianos and vintage cars and a summer variety concert, and Hoyle and Sheldon that performed the other night are going to do dueling pianos, assuming we can do that event on July 17th. We'll have to watch the color of the county to see if we'll be able to do that, but we've got big plans for that. The community garden plans that we were working on in the property that's owned by the credit union on Main Street, we decided we needed to look in another direction. It just wasn't working out, and there were issues that kept coming up, and the expense of certain items were going to make it just impossible. But there's some things coming up. I won't say anything about them. We're going to keep working on finding a new location, and we have an opportunity for grant and grant management for a full year that could help us really establish a successful community garden. So I'm in hopes that can happen. I too attended EDAB, and I'm always interested in the reports that are given, particularly the real estate. It's quite interesting what's going on in real estate in the area and people moving in. And I talk to people on a broader world as far as real estate, and wow, it's just there's no stock, and people are bidding on homes, and even right here in New Mexico. So it'll be interesting to see how that affects the city of Aztec. And that's it.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. I have just a very brief report. I do want, and I'm not expecting an answer right now, Wallace. I want to talk to you offline about airport meeting, if we're going to do one, when our next one is hoping to be scheduled, the advisory board, that is. I have a ECHO board meeting tomorrow evening, and speaking of turquoise and yellow and red and green and all those sorts of various colors that we're trying to achieve surrounding COVID, you know, I just, I'm the grouchy reminder that we're still in this, and we still have to continue to be vigilant. And every time, you know, we all have fatigue from this, and I as much or more than anybody. And it's hard to keep your guard up, and it's hard to keep doing the COVID-safe practices because a lot of us are getting vaccinated, and we think we're kind of on the other side of this. And I do believe, I read some news today from the CDC saying that we have about a 20% decrease nationwide. So I think that we are heading in the right direction, and some of the spikes have seemed to have flattened out. But just a reminder that we have to stay vigilant because I want to go and, you know, see dueling pianos, you know, this summer, and I want to see the show on the 8th, and I want to look at vintage cars and just wish that I could afford them, sort of thing, you know, and I want to do the alien bike race because it got postponed a month, you know, so these are all things every time that I think of, oh man, forget this, I have to remind myself that, you know, just hang in there and we'll get there so we can enjoy these events, and I don't think anybody can argue with that. So anyway, that's all I have, and I appreciate the comment from Ms. McClenny. I appreciate the efforts of our city attorney and our interim city managers and all the staff and commissioners that have been working so hard the last couple of months through this process, getting us where we are. So I appreciate everybody's work. And for that, I will open it up to any department heads that want to give a quick report. I can't see your names on the screen, so if you want to report, unmute and go ahead and jump in. I'm not seeing any, so I'm going to go ahead and close that part and move to adjourn 6:27 p.m. Thank you, folks.
This conference is no longer